to the Nerdiverse. Go ahead, sit and listen to the masters, the old heads, talk about what you love the most. Video games, comics, movies, and everything you need to maintain. We got the knowledge that's straight out the ether. Gonna need a drink and have to take a seat to expand your mind and listen to the speaker. Mike and the squad's gonna give you what you need. Please send in the question, come and get some answers, learn a couple lessons from the masters with the special guests. We got the Green Lanterns glowing on their chest. Yes, please sit back and relax, cause we're gonna hit you with them stone cold facts. And allow me to be the very first to welcome you to the masters of the Nerdiverse. Welcome to Masters of the Nerdiverse, where we always have such sights to show you. This crazy conundrum of a podcast can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and Spotify. I, of course, am your host, Mike G, and with me as always is my also host, my co-optional host, as I would say, Winter Trash Monk the Thizzard.
What's up, everybody? It is Winter Trash Monk the Third. That's Trash Monk I. That's Trash Monk I.
Yeah.
And I'm coming at you, spending money on coins, buying season passes, wondering where I get all this free money. And the answer, it's not free.
It costs a little bit of your soul. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
A sliver.
Why am I spending $10 to make my character look a different shade of color? I don't know. These are the answers. These are the questions that the universe ponders on forever.
These are the infinite thoughts
that
cloud the hive mind of.
If a tree falls in the woods alone and we're nowhere around, does it still make a sound? I messed that up. And if a man is alone in the woods, is he still considered wrong by his wife? Folks, we are here doing hot jokes.
Hot jokes. This is the Lord's work we're doing right now, ladies and gentlemen, and any kind of alien creature that may listen to this thousands of years in the future, where we're nothing but stardust and bones, where our legacy lives on in future generations. Some hippie from the year 4000 is going to hear this from the future and be like, those guys were lame. Think about that. I
don't want to think about it.
They're gonna put Masters of the Nerdiverse on a golden laser disc and shoot it out into space. And 8 trillion years in the future, the super overlords are going to listen to it and create a small little understanding in class about our logics, me and Winners. That's the next future. And then we'll be brought back using cloning technology, and Neo Winter and Neo Mike will do live podcasts to giant bird / antelope gods, and if we don't appease them, then we have to go to the sugar mines and work with all the other podcasters that didn't make it. This is our dark future. It's not yours. Specifically ours. Did I lose you, Winner?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
I'm just a little glimpse in the future. Just a little glimpse in the future, man. How you doing? How was your week?
I'm doing good. It's been a interesting weekend, interesting couple of days. Just moving along. Season pass of Apex Legends comes out today.
Yo.
I'm updating the game right now as we're recording, and I believe Rocket League is supposed to be coming out with a season pass soon as well.
Ooh.
So that's going to be $20 for both of those games.
Yep. Ooh,
yeah,
that's about it.
And what can I say? I like giving money to Rocket League more than other games, just because the money goes back to their esports, as they've stated in their microtransaction philosophy. And also, it doesn't necessarily change a lot of the game. I mean, there's different hit boxes, but yeah, that's all I got to say on that. But how was your week?
My week was cool. Did a lot of stuff this week, actually. Covered a lot of content. which I'm not going to harp on. But speaking of Rocket League, I actually bought that game myself over the week, and bought it on my Nintendo Switch that I finally caved and got. So I've been playing a lot of Nintendo Switch and just getting comfortable with that little console. I didn't expect it to be so small. It's a little thing. It's actually almost no bigger than like a 3DS. It's kind of the console is very small. But on that console, the one game I have two games on it currently. I have Rocket League, which I'm going to play a little bit of that tonight because I got the Nintendo Online, so I'm gonna jump online once I get a feel for the controls. But what I've been really playing and sinking my teeth into is Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I know I'm late to the train, and you guys can tease me or whatever, but that game is amazing. The game just feels good.
So I've heard.
It just feels good. Like I don't have a Pro Controller yet. I have to buy Pro Controllers. I just have the controllers that come with it, which is kind of like this controller skeleton that you slot the Joy-Cons into. And it kind of works as like a wireless controller. But the game itself feels like Zelda. Like they have all the musical cues and the graphics are very stylistic. But the game kind of feels like a Fallout game in a weird way, where it's very unscripted. It's really, really unscripted to where it's like you get out your little weird cave and it's just go a direction. Go just whatever you want. There's adventure in every degree of the map. And you just learn stuff as you become more intuitive with the controller. You do like little dungeons and puzzles, and it all just kind of, no matter what direction you're going in, it just seamlessly blends. And that's all I'm playing right now, really. It's just, I think about it when I'm at work. I come home and I play a little bit of it. That's kind of, after Devil May Cry 5, that game's a nice, calming, not really too hand-eye coordination heavy game right now, at least where I'm at in it. And it's just, it's what the doctor ordered, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Other than that, I've just been watching some stuff on Netflix, and I finally got to see Captain Marvel. I'll give you my brief. I'm not going to do a review on that movie, so I'll just give you my brief review on that.
Can I give you my opinion from what I've gathered from other people's reviews? I'm still, it's definitely not going to be the movie I'm going to run out to see, but I want to throw in this joke of Captain Marvel, more like Lieutenant Lackluster.
Wow, that's more stretchy than Reed Richards, my man. I appreciate it, and you're not lying. Well, you know what? Just talk about it now. The movie, it's the most meh it's ever been. It's the most meh Marvel outing since like Thor: The Dark World. It's the most meh. It's not bad. It's not a bad film. I won't say that. My only issue with it is that it wears its motivations on its sleeve a little too hard. You know what I mean? Like it's trying a little too hard to get a point across that other films in the same genre have done with a more muted hand. And that kind of makes the movie feel a little weighted. But the things that should be heavy, like character development, ensemble cast acting, that's the light stuff. It's just Samuel Jackson, and a CG Sam Jackson and a cat shouldn't be the best things about your film. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I didn't necessarily leave the theater feeling good. I just was like, oh, okay. It's 1:00 in the morning. In-N-Out's open. I guess I'll get some In-N-Out. I'm full.
Yeah.
I had a meal. It's not necessarily anything I write home about. So that's kind of my consensus about Captain Marvel. I don't get where all the crazy hoopla is. It was just kind of I think it was a machine that just went out of control. Like just in regards to the bad backlash for the film, the political and just nonsense that was surrounding it. It just wasn't worth. It reminds me of The Interview. Remember that movie where North Korea was pretty much wanting to bomb the U.S. because of it? Like everything around it was more than the film itself,
Yeah, well, I'm becoming more and more convinced of the idea that reviews are meaningless or
They've always
not,
been meaningless. Yeah.
yeah. Well, so here's the thing. I want to keep a category in place for people who are film critics who can talk about these films, and like for a room for you and I to talk about them, like review them, sort of thing.
Right.
But I'm talking about the Amazon/Rotten Tomatoes, and I heard it referenced this week that Rotten Tomatoes could be like is the cancer to film criticism, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of true, particularly when you see how people interact with reviews on Amazon and other sites that are like, leave a 5-star review and write a paragraph. And there's such a potential for espionage, we will say, of like, I think there was a comedian talking about how his stand-up special went from 5 stars down to 1 star because he was being trolled.
Yeah.
And then he messaged Amazon about it. He's like, and Amazon's like, well, what do you want us to do about it? We can't do anything. If we did something about it, then that sets a precedence of we have to do something.
And the company can't do that. Like, just a little inside baseball. Like, part of my daily 9 to 5, how I eat
is writing angry tweets.
It's writing angry tweets and firebombing companies I don't care for. No, it's reputation management. It's online reputation management. How do you protect your reputation, maybe for your business or for yourself? It's a real thing. And what these like I was about to say Star Fox. I wish there was a live action Star Fox movie. But Captain Marvel is the perfect example of weaponized reviews. You know what I mean? Where people will gather and galvanize to bomb your film. Just leave 0 stars, 0 stars, 0 star. No, and even create bots that will constantly leave 0 stars. You know what I mean? To try to cause some type of cultural sway on the result of your product. As we could see, it didn't affect Captain Marvel whatsoever because the movie's damn near about to hit $1 billion in like under a month. But this is the thing that happens
because people aren't going to see them because they're there's something to be said there about how Need for Speed are terrible, but they still make a lot of money.
Yeah,
and these Marvel movies, they could be terrible. Like DC movies are considered by some, or a lot of many people, the majority I predict, to be terrible, but yet they still bring in that sweet, sweet cash.
Yeah, I was watching a video on YouTube where they're talking about Venom and how Venom was lambasted by the critics across the board, but the movie almost hit $1 billion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, people are going to see what they want to see. And because the people who are in the know to read a review online already know that it's BS. So they're not going to pay it any mind. They're going to want to get their own opinion. Like, if the reviews weren't so polarizing for Captain Marvel, I probably would have skipped it personally. But I needed to get a grip on, I wanted my own opinion on it. You know what I mean? Because the reviews were so crazy, and it was something I wasn't really that jazzed to see. Like, I'm mentally checked out for superhero movies, kind of, until Endgame, and then I have to reassess.
Join the ranks.
Join the phalanx. You know what I mean? The soulless homunculus, which is Marvel fans. But I don't know. Captain Marvel, I think it's in when history shines down on the what is now deemed the Infinity Saga, which these 3 phases of films. I think Captain Marvel is going to be seen as one of the weaker ones, just because there's not a lot of substance to it. And there's one thing they do with one of the main characters in the film that I really disagree with, but I don't want to spoil anything. But it wasn't disagreeable enough for me to hate the movie. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I just watched 2 things on Netflix. I watched that that Ben Affleck military dude bro action film called Triple Frontier. I'll be doing a review on that later, so I won't give too much away about how I feel.
Oh, I did watch a movie. I watched the most recent Saw installment.
Oh, how was that? I skipped that one. How was that? The final Saw or something like that?
No, this is them like rebooting the franchise, sort of thing.
Oh.
And I liked it. They leave a lot of questions unanswered, and I think they said they specifically did that because they are already working on another one.
Well, Saw is a big franchise. I remember when me and Brian were doing the Random Select, which I will bring back. I have to see if I can dig that back up. But when we did the Random Select, we randomly got Saw as one of our movies. And Brian from MOTN Reviews never seen Saw before. None of it. Didn't really have an idea of the concept. Yeah. And it blew his mind. He was like, why didn't no one tell me the cheese was so good?
Right.
Like, we all told you, man. But
so
Saw's
so it's definitely going the route of now becoming more like grotesque. Well, it's always been grotesque, I guess, would be the thing.
Yeah.
But there's it's what would be a good, I want to say torture porn in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's still like torture horror sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not as bad as like Hostel.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who cannot handle that as a series, and I totally get it. This is something. There's nothing like there's not a lot of redeeming qualities. I didn't hold my head up high clicking on this movie on Amazon Prime, going, I'm going to be here for like some intellectual stimulation. But like I said, they did the best that they could do with the content of like trying to revamp the franchise and get some newer people in, while also keeping like in doubt like things that you thought were concrete. But are they? Or what? Are they? Did he have cancer? But I don't know. That sort of thing.
Yeah, when your franchise gets that long in the tooth, it starts to get more and more difficult to keep a coherent storyline. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have to reboot it at some point because you're spreading out. The broth is spreading to the point where it's starting to become water. It's like, when is it stop being a broth? So movies like that, I just wish they would take like a 5-year hiatus and just come back with a reboot. I'm totally fine with that. Just be like Saw and just reboot the whole thing. It doesn't necessarily even have to be about Jigsaw. Let it be like a soft reboot, like Jurassic World or something like that, where you acknowledge the past, but you have new players in this present. I like that. I like when they do that right.
Right. So speaking of reboots, can we just call this getting into the news?
I like it. That's a good segue.
Yeah, we're getting into the news. We're gonna have some clues about what's going on. I don't know.
Bars. We're there with the bars, dog. Yeah. Go battle them.
Yeah.
We'll rip you apart, dog. Slice you up. So let's talk about reboot. Let's talk about a reboot, shall we?
Yes. Wait. So I had something quickly in mind because I just want to rant about it for 10 seconds.
Do it.
And then we can go on to what we had on our schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Woodstock 2019, folks. 50th anniversary of Woodstock. 3 days of peace, love, and music. 3 days. They're trying. The way it was first advertised to me from a dude was that they were bringing back all the original acts from the first Woodstock for this anniversary.
Yeah,
I went, that's a great idea. Not a day later do they announce the headlines or like the most of the bands. Mm-hmm. And here's some of the names: Miley Cyrus, the Lumineers. Okay, these are people that have front billing to Woodstock. Mm-hmm. The Killers. No, so by the way, this is the headlining. But remember, Woodstock, The Killers, Miley Cyrus, Santana. What world do we live in, folks? Santana was at the thing, and he gets third billing on the list. The Lumineers, the Raconteurs, and then Robert Plant and the Sensational Space Shifters. Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin, folks. And he gets the second line for day one. And then John Fogerty's in the list.
Okay.
Going down Dead and Company is going to be there. And I believe there's another Grateful Dead related band that's going to be there.
Woodstock isn't what it used to be.
I don't understand what's going on. And then they have the band. So the day 3, that's when they have several bands that were actually there performing. They have the Zombies, good. Canned Heat. Canned Heat, by the way, is a great blues band. You should check him out. But the problem is there's only one surviving member, and I believe he was added on to the band later on.
Wow. Oh, man.
And then they're going to have a band, Pussy Riot on there.
That's the name of the band.
It's like, yeah, that's the name of a band. An Earl Sweatshirt. Like, I don't understand. There's a reason why the Carson Daly Woodstock fiasco is laughed at. Like, why are we watching Limp Bizkit at a Woodstock concert?
Because they have to stay hip with the kids. What do the kids listen to?
Why are we going to see Chance the Rapper at Woodstock?
Because we got to stay hip with the kids and what the kids listen to.
Why are we going to see Jay-Z?
Because we got to stay hip
Well,
with
if
the
we're going
kids.
to be hip with the kids, why do you have the Zombies?
Because we have to be hip with the old folks, the ones who have the money. See how it works? Woodstock has not been the same since Mudstock, bro. It hasn't been the same.
It's like
it's dead.
I'm trying to bring it back into the nerdiverse perspective of it's like we're assembling all the original cast of X-Men, but then having Days of Future Past involved. So I guess actually that worked out very well.
Yeah.
So
it's a problem. It's like you have to pick a demographic and stick with it, or you don't. You know what I mean? It's like they want to have best of both worlds. We want the kids to come to see their Chance the Rappers in their Earl Sweatshirts, but we also want the old heads to come to check out Robert Plant and John Fogerty and Carlos Santana. But how do we balance that, right? Like,
Carl Santana?
Sorry, Carlos. Am I wrong?
Carl Santana.
That's what his mom calls him. Carl.
We're good people, Carl Santana.
But yeah, concerts, man. Concerts aren't what they used to be, dude. You know, concerts aren't what they used to be, and especially the big ones like the Warped Tour and you know, like Woodstock, dude. You know, they're not what they used to be. You know, Coachella isn't what it used to be. You know, the Smokeout Tour. Even the Smokeout Tour is kind of like, we're going to watch Cypress Hill and Snoop Dogg, and that's about it. And everyone's just like, all right, whatever. You know, the kids aren't into it. That's where we're at, folks. That's where we're at, man. That's where we
I don't like it. Okay.
Speaking of things from the past that are coming back to haunt us, let's get into the next news topic, which is just for me and all my other nerd anime fans out there, because I want to talk about this for a second. And that is 2 irritants, and Winter hates when I talk about this game because I actually think it gives him heart palpitations because he just can't stand it. And that's Dragon Ball Z Fighters. And that's when I explained to him who Brawly was, and he just couldn't handle it. So currently in the game, it's a fighting game about Dragon Ball, right? Dragon Ball Z. And who is the main character for Dragon Ball Z? It's Goku. And he's a Super Saiyan.
It's the Dragon Ball.
It's the Dragon Ball itself. It's Shenron. And in the game currently, in different configurations, there's about 8 different Gokus, I think. In a fighting game of like 27 fighters. More than a third is just one character in different forms of his history. And this gets confusing because a recent leak for one of the new downloadable characters is Goku is the Dragon Ball GT version of Goku. Now, I'm going to try to break this down as quickly and as concisely as possible. So, Dragon Ball was the original Dragon Ball created by Akira Toriyama, where it took place where Goku was a kid. He was from a different planet. He turned into a big giant ape, and he fought villains, right? Dragon Ball Z is when Goku grows up. He becomes a teenager. He marries Chi-Chi, and he has Gohan, and he becomes a Super Saiyan and all that crazy stuff, right? The creator of Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama, at that point retired. He's like, I don't want to make Dragon Ball anymore. I'm done. Right. So an independent creator without the blessing of Akira Toriyama created a new series called Dragon Ball GT. And that is Dragon Ball Grand Tour, where it takes place after the events of Dragon Ball Z, where Goku is magically wished back to be a child with the 7 Dragon Balls. And he goes on to a whole set of adventures from in the future with Trunks and Pan, and there's Baby, and it's a bunch of crazy stuff. Super Saiyan 4. And Akira Toriyama never liked it. He never liked the idea of someone working on his stuff without him. So way in the future, years later, we get Dragon Ball Super, which is a return to form from Akira Toriyama. And Toriyama states that Dragon Ball GT, and this is only for the nerds, is non-canon. So Dragon Ball GT doesn't exist anymore in the natural canon of the storyline of Dragon Ball as a complete whole arcing storyline. So apparently all that never happened. It was all the drunken machinations of Yajirobe, whatever. What Dragon Ball Fighters has done as brought back a character from Dragon Ball GT into the game, thus solidifying it as it actually being something that is real. You know, you see it being part of, in some way, being part of the zeitgeist enough to rub shoulders with these quote unquote canon characters. And a lot of people are feeling a certain way about it and think it's hilarious. Or I feel a certain way about it because, one, we don't need another Goku character. It's like having Scorpion. It's like having 8 different Scorpions in Mortal Kombat. It's just, it's weird. And two, how did they get that past Toriyama, who's probably eyeballing Dragon Ball Fighters the whole way? So if this leak is real and Dragon Ball GT is part of this game's fighting system now, then can they introduce other GT characters? Your thoughts?
I have none. Where am I? What year is it?
It's 2017.
2017.
I'm talking back in time.
Yeah. I'm hoping that this lump on the side of my head is just another ingrown hair and not a tumor from listening to you talk about this game yet.
There are people who are listening to this podcast right now who are with me the whole time and probably will correct me on certain things. So forget that.
I've grown to accept that as part of being in the nerdiverse.
It's
where
a strong part.
I must listen to this.
The Amber Waves of Grain, which is anime, dog.
It is worth it.
All right, let's talk about something that you probably have some opinion on, and that is the Ballad of James Gunn. What is going on with our man James Gunn recently, dude?
So he's back on the movie, right?
He's back on. He's doing both movies. Everything's coming up James Gunn, which is crazy. So let's talk about the DC side of it first. So everyone knows that James Gunn was released from the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 film from Disney because of tweets he put out like 10 years ago or something. And they let him go. So in the meantime, James Gunn was propositioned by DC Comics, or the DCEU, Warner Brothers, to direct a sequel to the Suicide Squad movie. To which he agreed. He said, I'm out of a job. I might as well have something to do. Let's do it. Right? So apparently, according to James Gunn, it's not a sequel to the movie that just came out. We're already getting a hard reboot of a movie that came out like 2-3 years ago. Hard reboot. Complete. Some of the cast are going to be the same. They're just saying it's a reboot. Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. It's bonkers, dude. Like, there are no rules.
There are no rules. That is a fact. It is just bonkers, really. I don't want to be the type of guy. Well, I'm always this guy that goes like, "Well, now there's a precedent set." Like, no, Disney's big enough that they can do whatever they want, so they don't have to set any thing set in stone. They get to do whatever they want now. That's the life that we now live.
Right. They own the universe.
Yes. Now, we need to hope that this James Gunn movie will be good.
He has a strong track record.
Yes, but
I can't think of many bad James Gunn movies. Except for Scooby-Doo, and some people love that movie. The Matthew Lillard Scooby-Doo.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just hoping that he can get this off the ground. I really hope he does. I hope he does well. I hope this is more of a trend of going, he said some stuff online. Let's go, no. But then we get serious going, well, let's talk about the creating of the art itself.
Yep.
And then maybe like level our, like kind of like keep our outrage in a perspective of him just saying something on Twitter. He's taken off of a program, and then another director has sex with a minor and he gets an Oscar. Why don't we trail it back a bit, folks?
Well, people like to feel justified and right, and throwing stones in glass houses and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But
like, for instance, us. I say I love the Coco, and then you say you're wrong.
I don't say you're wrong. I just say I don't like the Coco.
No, I'm saying you're wrong.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, I won't fight you, man. I won't fight you, man. But I don't know. James Gunn, it seems like everything came up his way.
I just don't want to jump the gun. Okay?
We're not going to jump the gun because he has it pointed at both heads right now. He's arms akimbo.
Jump the gun.
Hashtag jump the gun. Well, he jumped the gun so hard that he jumped over Disney and got back with his Guardians of the Galaxy friends because he's been
so now he's making
been reinstated to direct the film again, full on, his script, his movie, finishing his trilogy.
Yes.
And I still will say that James Gunn is going to be the architect for Cosmic Marvel going forward. I think he's going to be pretty much the book writer for all things that deal with space Marvel going forward. I think if there is a Captain Marvel 2, I think he'll have a hand in it, at least on the writing stage of it. You know what I mean? He's going to be their showrunner on that. Because between Guardians, even Captain Marvel a little bit, and Thor Ragnarok, it all has a Gunn feel. You know what I mean? Like colorful, bombastic, musical, funny, like just a style to it. And I think that now that the kind of the die is cast with all this craziness that he was going through, he's in there, man. He's going to be I have a feeling he's going to be around a lot for Phase 4. You know what I mean? For this new phase of Marvel after Endgame. And I still think the things he said were deplorable, and I'm not applauding that. And he's even apologized for it. But Marvel's moved on. Disney's moved on. He's moved on. His coworkers never had an issue with it. So why don't we move on to the next news? Oh man, there's a lot of news. So let's just...
You've heard of Jamie's got a gun. Now here's Mike G's got a gun.
Jamie's got a gun. Oh man! Speaking of guns,
that's probably one of my favorite Aerosmith songs, and I don't like Aerosmith. They look sticky.
They do look sticky. Ugh. My favorite Aerosmith song.
They found her underneath the trash.
Mine's is Jaded. Yeah.
Or I'm crying just to let you. I hate that one actually.
I can't stand 90s.
You know that
yes,
song?
I can't remember the next line. Otherwise, I would have finished the song.
Down.
Oh man, Aerosmith.
Or an elevator. I'm going down in the air.
Mine's is November Rain.
That's Guns N' Roses.
Moving on. Speaking of guns.
Gosh, Mike.
Speaking of Guns N' Roses.
You're taking this podcast down.
I don't care. I'm a master of the complete nerdiverse, but Guns N' Roses / Aerosmith. I don't know why. When I think of the November Rain video, I think of Aerosmith.
Nothing lasts forever in a cold November.
My
rain.
Apologies. What would you consider Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses? They're not metal. Are they just rock and roll?
Well, Aerosmith is definitely in that bluesy rock category, / going towards the hair rock scene.
Mm-hmm.
Guns N' Roses, I believe, would be in the hard rock category.
Okay. Chinese democracy.
Chinese democracy.
Speaking of Guns N' Roses, let's talk about Devil May Cry really quickly.
Nice recovery.
Getting the Bloody Palace DLC on April 1st. And I'm not going to talk about this very much because it's Bloody Palace is just like a survival mode where you can play multiple rounds of just styling and killing monsters, and apparently there's going to be a multiplayer with it, and I'm just excited to just get some practice in to learn my one frame loops with that game. So just want to give you guys a heads up. If you have Devil May Cry 5, I don't know if the Bloody Palace mode's free. I think it's free, but just keep an eye out on it. It's fun stuff. There's a Bloody Palace mode in Devil May Cry 3 and 4, so if you have those games, you're familiar with the term Bloody Palace, but it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. Netflix announces the Dragon's Dogma animated series. I don't know much about Dragon's Dogma. Never played it. I know it's good. I think Capcom's getting a little nutty with their theatrical output. I think they need to slow down a little bit because we're still getting a live action Resident Evil. We're also getting the Monster Hunter movie, and now we're getting this. So maybe they need to slow down just a little bit. Let us like one of them.
No, Netflix needs to turn it up.
Turn it up.
Yes.
Speaking of things that are getting turned out is that Toy Story 4 trailer.
This is the Toy Story. This is the Toy Story. It's the story about them toys.
I hate Randy Newman. I hate him so much. I just don't like that there's the implication in this movie that they make a Frankenstein toy that then constantly questions its own existence. It's kind of dumb. I don't like that.
So why don't you like Randy Newman? Is it his liberal use
yes,
of the N-word?
That's a big part of it. It's
Thank you.
Part of it.
Thank you.
That nobody talks about.
We don't need to talk.
We're moving on.
Or what about? Well, we have to give people a reference because I think people just go, Randy Newman using the N-word, isn't he the "you got a friend in me" dude? Or it's the jungle out there. It's the jungle out there. Well, that song will change. It will have a different meaning to you when you listen to his. Now he's doing it in satire, but it's still bad. His song "Rednecks." That is. Good.
I take umbrage.
I
with
listen.
Randy Newman, man.
Or what about his song "Sail Away"?
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Are you sure? You don't want to... So this has been the Randy Cast. I've been your host, Newman, and this is
I'm your host, Newman.
Yeah. Show up, people got no reason to care.
Oh, jeez.
You got to go to Audible and type in
Randy Newman Cast. Speaking of things that have no reason, apparently this is Alien's 40th anniversary, and IGN are putting out 6 short films based on the Alien series by different young and upcoming directors. And I just wanted to kind of signal boost that and have people check it out because I heard some of them are pretty good. And I want to check them out myself.
Yeah, check it out. Closest we'll get to a good Alien movie.
That's kind of my main reason I'm mentioning this. Because this is probably going to be the most Alien thing you've seen in the last 10 years. And this is counting all the Ridley Scott nonsense.
Now, I like the Prometheus series, but it ain't no aliens. Senator, you're no Senator, you're no alien.
It ain't no Predator Resurrection. Alien. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Because I'm a nerd.
Sure, people.
Speaking of creators who need their properties taken away from them, how do you want to broach this J.K. Rowling news article, man? How do you want to?
I have no interest in talking. I think it's the
I've
dumbest
ever
thing
read in a long time.
ever. But I can imagine people freaking
So,
out.
do we have to
about
talk
it.
about it? Is it all
I don't
right?
think so.
I'm just gonna say, J.K. Rowling mentioned something about Harry Potter that is absolutely in the news. So, if you want, I'm not gonna give any opinion on it.
Yes,
You can find it.
it's this. It's the whole story of you've let your paper airplane go, and now you're trying to redirect where it's
Your paper
flying,
airplane
sort of
fell
thing.
into
They're,
a water main, and you're trying to refold it now that the paper's wet,
yes.
and you're just tearing it as you're trying to fold it
Yes.
again. Anywho, moving on.
Yes, but since we didn't talk about that, I need to throw in this trivia. I believe one of the lead singers of the Eagles, I think it was Glenn Hughes, did backup vocals for Randy Newman's song "Short People." Okay,
I'll
next.
accept. That's acceptable. That gets a 6
Yeah.
style. That's a super 6 style, triple S rank. Oh man! So Matt Reeves, the director of the Planet of the Apes films and overall good director, is making the current Batman soft reboot or whatever DC's doing over there. They don't know. And he was stated that the film is rumored to take place in the 90s.
Don't steal my sunshine.
And I'm seeing a trend in DC's recent output that none of it takes place in modern day. It's kind of funky because Wonder Woman's taking place in 1984. Joker takes place like in the 70s. Yeah. And now Batman's taking place in the 90s. You know what I mean? And it just makes me think that they're just not ready to commit to a modern day DC universe. They're just going to spread it all out.
Yeah, well, certainly, I think it both makes it easier to put it in a setting in the sense of, like, you see how well Captain Marvel went, like, blockbuster, whoa, sort of thing. Batman's gonna do Nirvana, whoa.
Speaking of which,
Seinfeld.
Speaking of which, Captain Marvel, the 90s references to Captain Marvel were not good. I'm sorry. I did not enjoy them. They were forced. Getting off of that.
Yeah. Well, have I ever liked references about the decade in a movie, in any movie? And the answer is I can't think of one. Like any movie that like puts on like we're in the 80s. What?
Yeah.
Cocaine everywhere.
Maybe
what?
Black Dynamite in the 70s. but they didn't push it.
Well, that's different.
No, not for like when a movie has like reference for reference sake.
Yeah.
It's hard. I can't think of one where it's done well.
Now, I do like it. I do like it when they go back in time to medieval times and they reference like, I've got to eat this gruel.
Yeah.
Oh, golly. You know how
Black
Martin Lawrence did that in Black Knight. Yeah. Oh, golly. I'm a Black Knight.
You better keep those leeches away from me. I ain't sick. So, yeah.
That's much better. Cut to an audience from the Apollo just falling all over themselves. Can we talk about that for a second? I want you guys to look up clips of the Apollo comedy when they would have comedy.
Late Night at the Apollo, dog.
What I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Just look at the audiences. Yeah. And like see how when I hear a joke, I go, ha 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 ha. That's or like I'm busting up laughing. These people are I shouldn't say that. The people in the audience are all over, are like crazy, dying. Yes. Dying. Over a guy that goes, hamburger. Say it again.
I don't think anyone listening to this podcast ever will have who know what Late Night at the Apollo is. Though. That's the most crazy pull. Like maybe Def Comedy Jam. Maybe
that might have been what I was talking about. Actually, Def Comedy Jam.
Because there was a bunch of weird like African American comedy shows in the 90s. Like there was Comic View on BET. There was Def Comedy Jam. There was Late Night at the Apollo. that would all come on like at
Yes.
1 o'clock in the
The
morning.
prime time.
Like, and they would just have the prime time where you're like half drunk and you came home and you're like, hey man, Earthquake is on.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like
I
me
actually think
some
I
more.
definitely meant Def
Or some-
Comedy Jam now that I'm thinking about it.
Def Comedy Jam
Bernie
was crazy.
Mac.
Then they had Def what was it, Def Poetry? The Poetry Slam where they had like Most Def and Kanye
I
West.
didn't watch the Poetry Slam.
Yeah, man, you gotta watch the Poetry Slam. It talks about all types of deep stuff. It makes you think.
I read
feel.
books.
Damn. Is that your response to that? Is that your
No,
rebuttal?
it's not. I didn't have anything else to add.
Fair enough.
It should be up my
Speaking of
alley to
rebuttals-
watch Def Jam poetry, but I just don't got the time.
Yeah, you gotta go find it. It's not out no more. They
Yeah.
don't make new ones. Speaking of things that will be killing a lot of people's time, let's close out our news with the final news of the day, which is the new Google gaming platform that was just announced, Stadia. I don't know how to pronounce
Yes.
it. And have you checked this thing out?
Google
Like,
Shadow,
what they're
Google
advertising?
whatever, not Google Shadow. That's it. Yes.
Google Shadow.
No, I have not. I've just read a little bit of it. I heard about what they're wanting to achieve, which is a steady 60 FPS for the streaming, which
Yeah.
by the way is like, why don't I just get a bloody I don't understand. Because if you talk to PC gamers, I believe they frown upon people who get 60 FPS. But that's just PC gamers all around. They frown upon everything. They're terrible people. I'm one of those PC gamers. So it's just it's a very weird world of cloud streaming. Do I think that it's a good idea? Absolutely, because it opens it up for people who cannot afford a big old gaming rig. But are there consequences? As always, yes. Not only are you no longer owning the license to download the game like you do for Steam, but now you're just paying to rent the game. Does that make sense?
There's no ownership in it. And also you have to have one hell of an internet connection to even run the thing.
That's true.
You know, like, this wouldn't replace a PlayStation for me. This wouldn't replace a Xbox for me. This is something I would take with me on a trip. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I have this Strata controller. I'm going to put like $40 on a quick 1 month subscription or whatever it is, so I can have something to play while I'm oots in the boot, while I'm at the hotel or while I'm visiting my grandmother or whatever. You know what I mean? I wouldn't see this as a complete replacement, because there's something to be said about ownership. You know what I mean? Like that being said, I haven't bought a physical game in a very long time. I had to buy Zelda Breath of the Wild physical because I bought it at the same time I got my Switch. But normally I go digital because it's just easier that way, and I don't have to trek to a retailer to pick it up. But this is, like you said, proposing that you're just renting the game, you're streaming it, and once you stop playing it, that's it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it goes back into the ether, you know. And I kind of don't know how to feel about that at this point. Like, it's no different than Netflix, right? You don't own any of the movies that you're watching on Netflix, but it's convenient because you're not pulling out a DVD and sticking into a machine and hoping it runs, hoping it's not scratched. It takes all that out of the equation. But I don't own Triple Frontier or whatever movie I just watched. And it was never mine. I just got to rent it and view it through this service. And for me with video games, I take a certain ownership into them. Like, this is my copy of Mortal Kombat 11. You know, this is my old copy of Devil May Cry 1. You know, like, there's something about that I would miss personally in the long run. But I don't know. I feel like a hypocrite because I haven't bought a physical copy in so long, but this just seems like a step further. You know what I mean? At least I kind of own the digital copy of that game, you know? Like, but there's not even going to be any kind of rental service with the Strata, I don't think. It's just you turn the thing on, you plug it into your smart TV or your tablet.
There's definitely going to be
I want to play Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be like play any game you want. Just pay us $20 a month, and you'll have full access to our
If
library.
they did that, that's the best deal you would get in a lifetime, folks. The problem is, I don't see that happening. I could see them very well
Xbox,
doing like, hey, you get a couple of free games a month, sort of thing, like Xbox does with Xbox Game Pass, or not Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Live. They'll have like a free game you can download that month, but to have them just be okay with $20 a month, I don't see them doing that.
Like, I think it's going to be more in the lines of tiers.
Yeah, there you go.
Like $20 a month give
That's a good
you
one.
like access to like their standard library, but $70 a month gives you unlimited access to any new game that premieres on that platform.
Right. And then you have to ask
I see
yourself,
that happening.
$70 a month dedicated to
let's say
game
4 games.
Yes. And I know people do it. I know people spend hundreds on games.
Would you as a casual
Heck
consumer?
No. I would be
no.
$20 would be pushing it, if I'm being honest.
For something you don't own but you have access to.
Exactly. I need to know that without internet I could still play this game.
No, and that's the thing. No, you can't. Without internet, you're not playing anything.
Exactly.
At all.
I don't want to rely on any fat cat server stations to tell me when I can play my hentai games. All right, folks? I am a red-blooded American. I bleed red, white, and blue. Only 3 colors in my crayon box: red, white, and blue. And I want my games on my SSD drive. By my games, I mean I want the license. Sorry.
No, but if you take away your internet, you're not playing Apex Legends. You're not playing Rocket League against anyone. It disappears. It stops existing.
I made a huge mistake
once the internet's down. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, okay, internet's good and awesome and all over the world, but it costs money,
right?
And that's something on top of what you're already paying to play the game itself. So you can't have one without the other.
That's true. I mean, once Master Chief Collection comes out for the PC, it's going to change my opinion of going. It's going to change that where I don't play just strictly online games. I'm going to be playing through the Halo story, and by the time the internet comes back, I should be done. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's
all
about a gaming experience.
That is
true. Like some games require internet connection. It's like a single player campaign. That drives me insane. Like, why do I need an internet connection
in the
to
membrane?
play Dark Souls? Insane in the brain.
So we need a soundboard for this show.
Dude, I got a lot of tables. No one's going to get that reference. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to watching more Boston Legal. I'm almost done with season 2. And
Denny Crane.
Yes, Denny Crane. Denny Crane. Yes. It's a stupid show. It's fueling my insanity for obscure shows, but hey, it's part of living. And I'm going to be, I think, finishing the book that I'm reading right now, which is written by Jack Webb, the writer and star of Dragnet. This is like Dragnet Too Hot for TV book. So it's talking about like dead bodies and like corrupt cops and
crazy.
Yeah. The division of the police that finds out whether you have a venereal disease and you're arrested or something like that. It's the 50s.
Okay.
It's the 50s. Yeah, just stuff like that. And that's about it.
I was gonna say a really crass joke, but I forgot, so I'm not gonna say that joke.
Good for you. It's about time that you have some restraint.
I have complete restraint, my good sir. Some would say too much restraint, such as one Austin Aussie constantly tells me to let loose. But I cannot, because I have respect for my co-host and his audience therein, so I shall refrain.
By the way, it was just one guy who said something about
that one guy ruined it. That one guy,
And I don't think he even listens to it. So
that's fine. He's permanently made. He's made me conscious of it to where unless I'm just completely upset about something, this show is going to try to be as PG-13 as possible. That means we get one F-bomb per episode.
Okay. And did we use it yet?
Fuck.
I'm just gonna make I just made a ton of noise over here. Okay.
I know. If you ever play a fighting game, you just got guard broke. You're just like, that's my one per episode. I'm not going to make that a thing.
Ding ding.
KO. I may even cut that later in editing. Probably not. Let it rock.
Down the highway. Did you listen to the Black Keys new single that came out?
No, was it good?
Yes. Okay, that's all we have.
Yeah, I don't even listen to I don't even listen to singles anymore. I wait for the album to drop and I listen to the whole thing.
But this is the first song that they've released in like 8 years together, I believe. Their first single.
But is it any good though?
I like it. It's a return to form.
I'll have to listen to it tonight. I'm looking forward to more Breath of the Wild. Mm-hmm. Definitely want to play some more of that. I picked up my acoustic guitar again, so I'm kind of practicing that again. We're so rusty.
Form our bluegrass band.
We're gonna make our own Tenacious D. It's gonna be called Turbulent N.
Or we can be they're the offspring of old time music, which is it's a group. They're all black people who are singing songs of the time, but they're black, and their band name was called the Carolina Chocolate Drops.
That sounds awesome.
And they're talking. Yeah, you should check it out.
Okay,
but I'm running out.
We're gonna make a band. Yeah. Now the question is, who is Kyle Gass and who is JB? I'll leave
shot JB.
No, who is Jack Black and who is Kyle Gass? If we were Tenacious D,
you can be both characters. I have no interest in going back into my Tenacious D life.
Whatever. The D is forever. That vitamin D. If you want to see a poll where I'm going to put this up and see if anyone answers it, that's going to be at our Twitter page, which is at MNerdiverse. That is at MNerdiverse, where during the Coconut Wars of 2019, we reached a stalemate. Apparently, everyone likes everything. No, nothing. That whole vote didn't matter, sadly enough.
Thank you, Mark Cuban, for voting, by the way.
Thank you, Mark Cuban. We appreciate you, bro. We ultra appreciate you. Mm-hmm. So with more fun, wacky stuff like that, earlier today I was commenting on a post and I was quoted by saying that that Angel from the X-Men series is the X-Men equivalent of Magikarp from Pokemon. And our community got quite a little kick out of it because he's not good until he becomes Archangel, and thus Magikarp is not good until he becomes Gyarados. For my Pokemon heads out there, if you want more wackiness like that, definitely check out our Twitter account at MNerdiverse. If you want to support the show monetarily, you can always visit our Patreon, which will be having new stuff on there quite soon. Very soon, actually, from different sources and based upon new content that will be premiering on the channel very shortly. But if you want us to support us non-monetarily, you can always leave a like on our videos and our Twitter pages and things of that nature. Let us know you care. Comment on our episodes, especially on Apple Podcasts, on iTunes. Please leave a comment. Leave a rating. We need the more ratings we get, the more ears we can hit, and the bigger our audience can grow, like Rita Repulsa monsters. And you can always subscribe. Subscriptions are the easiest way to keep in touch with MOTN action. I've of course been your host, Mike G,
and I've been your host, Trash Monk III.
And we will always ask you to take that one step beyond.